Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Never Open Podcast, the podcast open to everyone, especially Mr. Douglas Adams. Yeah, I'm 42 now. Anyway, my name is Luke. I'm your host of the Never Open Podcast, and with me, as always, is Mr. Andy. Say hello, Mr. Andy.
Hello, Mr. Andy, and hello, Luke. It's interesting. If you are 42, that means you're like the answer to everything and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that means that you're the embodiment of enlightenment and knowledge, and I would say pro wrestling knowledge.
That's right. Everyone needs to respect my opinions even more for this coming year.
I agree.
No matter what weird, crazy shit I say, fuck you. You have to lump it for a year.
Right.
The also amusing thing is, I got season 17 of Doctor Who on Blu-ray, which was show ran and including a story or two by Mr. Douglas Adams.
Oh, okay.
Whilst he was script editing this, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy went from being a hit to a fucking hit. And he didn't do 2 seasons of Doctor Who. He was just like, yeah. He's like one of 2 people from behind the scenes of Doctor Who that I can think of at the top of my head who actually became major successes.
Interesting. I did not know that. That's wild. I mean, so I've read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I really like the British BBC version of the movie. And I like the movie with Most Def in it and stuff. That's a great movie too. But yeah, and Sam Rockwell is so amazing in that movie. But I've also read, it's been a long time, but it was the Diner at the End of the Galaxy or some shit like that. It's like the sequel or something.
Yeah,
it's great too. So
yeah, they're good books. If you want a good TV series that's based on Douglas Adams, it's relatively recent. It's got Frodo in it. It's called Dirk Gently.
Dirk Gently. Okay, I've heard of that.
He is a holistic detective.
Okay.
So it's only made 2 seasons of it. Got cancelled, but it does have an ending, so you won't be left with it left hanging. Like there's seeds, like they where what they could have done if they kept going, but that's really good. But yeah, Douglas Adams did some gnarly Doctor Who as well.
One of these days, you're gonna watch that show Patriot I told you about, and you're gonna be like, man, what a fucking show, because it's like one of these shows that just has an ending, and like they could have done more, but no, it's so good, man.
Drop the mic. So this is Neville Realm. What number is this? 31.
Correct.
31. Of Neville Realms, everyone, so I don't have to be professional and do the intro, so there you go. You can still watch us on YouTube, so Never Open Pod, and send us emails, all that shit, and buy stuff and all that kind of stuff, all the money. So after the G1, I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually watch some TV. We haven't finished it yet, but we almost have. We've got 3 episodes left of Those About to Die, which is a Roman TV show done by Peacock of all places. And I was like, how far are they going to go with this? And then you see some of it. I'm like, okay, all right, this is something in here for everybody. Damn, great. And I'm all for it, man. I'm like, all right, that doesn't titillate me. 5 minutes later, that certainly does. So, it's like something for everyone, man, in that respect. But it's also got like this really awesome mix of, I'm glad they don't dwell on the emperor / political situation too much, because the show starts with Vespasian, and then I see the year, and I'm like, all right, so I know this is going to happen to Vespasian. I know then Titus, Vesuvius is going to happen, and there's Domitian. So you those characters are locked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you do an Inglourious Bastards or some shit. You might hear some wind, by the way, so I do apologize for that.
Just chiming in.
Yeah,
likes that show too.
Yeah, that's right. It's not me breaking anything as well. You break the wind. Yeah, but because if you dwelled on those characters, especially for me, like I love the Roman Empire period, so I like this period and I like quite a lot. So what it does, because you can do anything with these characters, even some of the lower tier historical ones as well, you feel like you can do a lot more with them because they're not so set in stone. There's no definitive kind of timeline for them. So, like, you know, I don't feel like anyone is particularly safe at any moment. And when you feel like a character is untouchable, they get touched.
And boy, do they!
Oh boy, do they!
Irrevocably, you know.
I'm like, holy shit! 10X is he's on top of the world, and then enter Ursus, and I'm like, oh fuck me!
You can't. Everything that everyone does has consequences, which is, you know, that's great. TV shows do that. You know, that's why people love Game of Thrones. You know, the first couple seasons because somebody fucked up, they paid for it, and their family paid for it.
What I love about there's some really, really, really distant side characters. My favorites are these two gentlemen who go to all the games, and they always cut to these guys, and they're like me. Like if I was at these games, I would absolutely hate Scorpus because he wins too much.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It does. So you see these two guys going, oh, fucking Scorpus again. And then the first time Scorpus loses, they're like, oh shit. Yeah.
It's like it's House of Torture.
Yeah, right. So, by the way, if we mention stuff on a NetherRealm, we're probably going to talk about things that happen in it that might be construed as
spoiler alerts for everything in the world.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Including Capital Collision. So
that's right. It's
which
happening
is going on right now. So
hi, Wilma.
Hey, good girl.
Yep, she's just ran out. Okay. So it's all happening here. It's glad it's never relevant because I don't have any notes.
Did you know that Scorpus, that's a real historical figure? So it's like I think they found that name on some like, you know, scribbled piece of pottery or some shit that he won so many of these chariot races. And so like, that's all we know about him though. This is like this little inscription, the Scorpus. And it's like, it's so cool how they made a character out of that. And he's a fucking piece of shit. But so is everyone in the entire, except for the Numidians. There's three Numidians, excuse me. And they are the only babyface characters in the whole show. Everybody else is a fucking heel. It's awesome.
I would have said that until like Calla, who's the mother, who pretty much goes to Rome because her two daughters and her son, they fucked up.
She's there to do babyface shit, though, right?
Yeah,
that's what she's there to do.
And the Romans enslave them, and which is what they do. So she goes to Rome to get them back, and I'm like, all right, she's like the mega face of this, and then like she's like, I gotta poison this Flammer guy because he's gonna beat the shit out of my son. And she's like, but there's a prostitute laying next to him. You know what? I'm just gonna put the poison in both these cups.
Okay.
So she's like the edgy face, you know. She's not the clean cut baby, but I like that. There's good parts. There's good things to all the characters, but there's also really dark. There's a lot of darkness in almost all of them as well, and the show doesn't shy away from that. So whilst I like Scorpus, like he's such a fucking annoying prick, isn't he? He's so talks about himself like he's the Rock. Scorpus is the best. I am Scorpus. I'm Scorpus getting. I don't know why I made him a Russian gangster or something. I'm sorry. He's got this Scorpus voice. He sounds like this. He's awesome, by the way. Sorry if that was insensitive, but he's cool, but annoying, and I'd be those dudes in the crowd, but thinking he's absolutely insufferable. Everyone thinks he's insufferable, but I don't think he's like that to watch. Instead, he makes me laugh all the time.
Well, it also happens to be that he's the best chariot racer of all time. And like he can win a race on like drunk, whatever. It doesn't matter. And it's not only he's going to win in this lap at this time. And how cool is it? Okay, so one of the big attractions of the show is the big action set piece that is the fucking,
Chariot
Flavian Amphitheater that they open, halfway through the show.
Maximus.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. And like the whole fucking thing with the fish. There's these giant fish made of metal that spill water over when one lap has gone by. It's like, wow. It's the show. It's not perfect. The CGI isn't awesome all the time or anything like that. And it is extremely silly. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's all kinds of goofy shit going on right and left. And I'm not trying to say it's some tremendous show as far as that goes.
It's very charming, though. Yeah.
It is fun. It is a good time. I had a blast with it.
There's a lot of charm to it. Yeah, there's a sense of cheesiness sometimes, and you just like two characters meet and you instantly know, and they instantly know we're all in love now.
Well, Ramsay Bolton is the main character, so it's his adventures in ancient Rome, and he's great, but he will refer to things as we do now. You know what I mean? Like he'll say, "Oh, this period was called, the Roman Empire." It's like no one called it that back then. And so it's interesting, like some of the things he'll say. He'll also set up different area. Like one of the things I loved about it is all the different settings, because all the settings were like, oh, cool, it's that place. Oh, cool, it's that place, And if you didn't know, he'll explain it to you sometimes, and sometimes they just put it in the corner like, bro, this is like there's one of the big ports for Rome. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but anyway, it's like the biggest port of Rome, and they go there and you're like, oh fuck, it's that place. I've never seen that on TV before, so there's a lot of shit in the show that if I have seen it, it's probably in some old fucking movie called Julius Caesar versus the Pirates or something,
Yeah, something like that. It did make me laugh that a little bit, because in the Doctor Who story, The Romans, Nero is played by someone in his 50s, and Nero was 30 when he died. No, and Vespasian is 69 when he passes away, and Anthony Hopkins is like in his 80s.
150.
But having said that, though, if you can get Anthony Hopkins to be in your show, get Anthony Hopkins to be in your show. Like, just who cares what age the character's supposed to be? Coming to Borderlands 2, probably. But
there was a big dramatic scene when he dies too, and some people were bitching that was like very underplayed. But I would argue that it wasn't about him dying; it was about the reactions of the sons. Which one of the sons kind of sucks, the other one is awesome, and so it's like, one of them is just such a like prude and just doesn't really react to things, so it kind of sucks. And then the other guy's like going so big, it's like he evens it out. I really don't like Titus. Yeah, he sucks, and he's always wearing the wrong armor, and it's like, that's not the correct armor. Why are you wearing armor in bed? He's wearing his armor.
I can tell you how long Titus lasts on the Curol chair if you like.
How long? Yeah.
No, he gets 2 years, and then Domitian's reign, I think, is longer than both his brother and his father combined. And he starts off a bit like this, with a grip that is pretty open, and then by the end of it, it's fucking so. He's got an iron grip. Is this motherfucking Domitian? He's
very paranoid. He's like one of those paranoid guys, because he possibly killed his way to the top. So he's like, someone might do that.
He is my favorite character, I'd say, because he's very sly. He's very flamboyant and theatrical, but he's also really cunning and everything. It's just, it works. And it brings across in the TV show what I've read about him, which was because he wasn't the soldier brother, they all kind of downplayed like what he was capable of and all this kind of stuff. But he all right, yes, he became a power mad dictator, of course. Right? It's Rome. It's Rome, right? It's ancient Rome. But
when in Rome, I mean, literally, right?
But he was well liked by the people for quite a long time in his reign. So he can't quite remember what he did. I think he was one of the few to kind of balance the budget or make it look like it was pretty balanced or something like that. Do you know how many Roman emperors, good or bad, managed to achieve anything like that? Maybe Diocletian a couple hundred years later or something, but like it was rare. Constantine, maybe, like that's like another 100 years later. Like, not many of the Roman emperors managed to do anything quite as astounding as balance the fucking budget. So he is just really interesting to watch, and it's even better because the gentleman playing him is just absolutely incredible. The fictional characters, or even the ones that might be named but aren't really big, Scorpus is the actor playing him is great. I like Tenax a lot, but Calla, she wasn't like that at the start, but over the course of this show, I'm like, all right, she's awesome.
Well,
she's absolutely fantastic.
She's rubbing off on Tenax, and he's rubbing off on her.
That's They're both getting a rub from each other, and it's making me like both more. Absolutely.
My favorite character. I mean, thank you for asking. It's the guy that, like, okay, he's not in the show a lot, but like, what's his name? The boy, the young man, Numidian. He gets enslaved. He goes to the gladiator because he can kill a lion with his bare
buddy with the beard.
His buddy that is his training buddy in the fucking gladiator, because he reminds me of like Spartacus Blood and Sand, and like he had there was a couple twins in that show, and it looks like the same fucking guy. Might even be, and like one of the twins survives deep into it, and he becomes like Spartacus' best guy, and it's like, it reminds me of that guy, which also reminds me, Luke, that Spartacus Blood and Sand is coming back. They filmed it. It's already filmed. It's in the can. They're ready to do it soon. It's called House of Asher. So I guess the idea is Asher didn't die in the 4th season.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's the best. Asher's the best. So
he is, but you hate him every single scene he's in.
He is President Evil for sure. Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he is. He's Kai Wynn.
Oh man.
Deep Space Nine. Oh my god.
I just have to mention this before I forget. But today in America, I guess it's the future for you, so it's too late for this. But this is actually the day that Bashir and Sisko get taken back in time and go to San Francisco, and it's a fucking hellscape. That's today.
Yeah.
That's today.
No shit.
And the day before was Jamie Coy. Shout out to Jamie Coy for letting me know about this. I sent him the Star Trek thing, and he sent me back. Well, Judgment Day was like yesterday, or that was the day that Skynet went online, or some shit. So rough. Wow. August, rough month for the future. Back in the 90s.
Wow. My birthday would have been a nightmare season.
Yes.
Let's go.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
42. How's it feel? How was your birthday?
Yeah, it was really nice. I got a lot of Doctor Who on Blu-ray, and I've been the easiest kid to buy for since I was like 9.
Okay.
Doctor Who on VHS, Doctor Who in books, Doctor Who in DVDs, Doctor Who in Blu-rays, more books. So I'm always pretty easy with that. So I got the Douglas Adams season. So I didn't I don't know. It was just like I didn't plan for that or anything. It was just 42. Oh yeah, I got something Douglas Adams related on.
That's cool. It might be
birthday.
You got to pay attention to life's coincidences.
Yeah, got a couple of the animation reconstructions. Not all the Doctor Who episodes exist. Some of them were scrapped at 60s. They don't keep everything.
Media.
Yeah, but for some reason, so you got to love nerds. They couldn't record. The VCRs didn't exist at the time, but guess what? Tape recorders did. So audio exists of every single missing story.
Wow, that's cool. Did people like animate it then?
Yeah, so they haven't done every single missing story, but they've done a good chunk of them now.
Okay.
Like the last stories to be found happened like 11 years ago, and it's even more unlikely that more will be found, right? But these animations exist. You could always listen to them, and there's narration for when there's like all the the music's just playing, or characters walking and no talking, right? And that helps. But the animations really do help. So I got a couple of those, and another full season on the Blu-ray. So it's enough to keep me pretty busy. So I've been watching Rome and the Rome show, and lots of fucking Doctor Who. But so that was nice. I bought myself a present last week, and I'm just rambling. I'm just talking a lot. I'm sorry,
Tell
Mr.
me about it.
I've been reading this Roman book by Spider-Man, Tom Holland.
I know, right? You got to be careful when you search him. You end up with all kinds of shit. And it's like, I just want a fucking book.
Yeah. Tom Holland book. And it's like, hey, it's the unofficial biography of someone who's like half my age. I'm like, what has he done except for act in movies and stuff that I haven't? Like, come on, man. But yeah, it's called Rubicon. I'm usually a Roman Empire guy, but this is just seemed so interesting. Just it's about how the Republic kind of slowly, but also at the same time fast. Like it just happened in spurts. Like this happened in this chunk of time, and then it settled down. Then woo woo woo. But yeah, it's how the Republic kind of drifts off to becoming the Empire.
Does it start with the Grokeyes, or does it start with like Marius, or does it start with Sulla? Like, where does he start in the timeline? Because like, if you read SPQR, and it starts in the late Republic when Cicero is having his big deal with Catiline, conspiracy. So sometimes people like to start the story there, but it just depends. You can go all the way back to the Punic Wars, if you really want to, with this story.
So he does mention the Punic Wars and things like that. It kind of starts with him talking about the Sibyl books, like the prophecy books that they used a lot to justify a lot of their fucking bullshit and stuff. And all that kind of things and stuff like that. It just kind of paints you a picture of how things kind of were in the Republic. Like, hey, everything's about competition, but you're not allowed to rise too high because it's got to be about the Republic itself. But there's also levels of this glass ceilings everywhere. Like, hey,
Cursus Honorum, right?
You can be down here and rise to the top. And I'm like, but the people at the top ain't gonna let you rise further than this.
Unless
happening. So there's a lot of hypocrisy and snobbery and look, the top the rich percent have the most power, all this kind of stuff. So kind of like today, wow, things have changed.
Yeah, it's not that different in a lot of ways,
And then it starts off, and then it really picks up for me when it mentions this guy Marius.
Yeah.
And Marius is like, I'm the fucking best. And the guy who was under him or something like that, his name is Sulla. And Sulla was like, no, I'm better than him. And he fucking proved it again and again and again, and would not stop pouring salt into poor Marius's wounds. Mind you, Marius kind of deserved it as well. So, they're both actually terrible people. But Sulla got himself to such levels of like prestige, success, and power that he became a dictator for the decade. And this is the blueprint of what's to come.
Correct.
Because after that decade, he's like, I'll pull back now. I've made all of my fixes, which get undone in the next fucking few years anyway. Like it never happened. Mind you, Sulla's retired. He doesn't give a shit.
Right. Well, and you got guys like Pompey and Crassus in Sulla's army. So they're watching this. And this
is what I can achieve. Yeah,
you're right. And they're going to be the contemporaries of Caesar, who's a little younger than them and doesn't enter the story till a little later. But like, he's the guy that puts it all together finally. You know what I mean? And kind of schools everybody. But I mean, Marius is one of my favorite guys too, just because like he has this awesome prophecy when he's born. There's 7 eagle eggs that are found or something. He's like, oh, that means I'm going to be consul 7 times. Obviously, that's what the augurs say or whatever. And so it's like the way that ends up happening, and him going from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows back to the highest of highs is fascinating. But I love Marius because of like one of the times he's on the run from Sulla, there's this awesome story where these people that are harboring him realize who it is. Like, holy shit, this fucking guy is Marius. We got to kill him, right? Because he's an enemy of the state. And if we kill him, they'll be very happy, and our village will be in good standing with Rome. So anyway, they send some like hired killer to go in, and Marius like bolts up out of bed when he hears him, and they say fire comes out of his eyes. And the guy just looks at him and goes, I can't kill Gaius Marius, and throws the sword down and runs away. It's like, I love those kind of stories because they're so vivid and I could see it happening, but you know it isn't real. And it's just like, oh, it's the best. Ancient history rules because of that shit.
It paints this really vivid picture of Rome as well. Like, hey, it wasn't even good to live in apartment buildings. Like it might be. Like, you were seen as one of the lowest of the low, especially if you're high up. And those things were prone to falling down because of shoddy business practices. And then they just build them back up again, really even cheaper and higher.
That's
this time.
How Crassus made all his money. He would, and he had his own fire brigade, and so somebody's shit would catch on fire, and he'd run down there, or have his guys go run down there and say, "Well, we'll put this out, but you got to pay us, right?" And then
also you've got to sell the building to Crassus,
right? See, that's the deal. We'll put it out. Either you got to buy it from us, or sell it to us, or pay us to put it out, and either way, he's going to buy it. And so then that's how he made his. Septums or denarii or whatever they were.
His sesterces or something.
There you go.
But it paints this awesome picture of how Rome is like an unplanned city, so it's kind of like a maze and like
haphazard. Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas all their colonies are strictly regimented.
Yeah,
it's so ironic, right? That like the city itself is just like a fucking monstrosity built on top of a monstrosity over and over again for thousands of years. But you go to Tunisia, or Turkey, and it's a fucking grid.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the ultimate rules for thee, but not for me kind of thing, and that's what the Romans were all about. So
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, and the various ways like I've read that, and then this happened, which allowed these people to extort millions of fucking dollars or millions of things worth in gold and silver and slaves, and they became super fucking mega rich, and they all got fat off sucking this place dry. And I'm like, and then 5-10 pages later, and then they sucked this place dry, and they exploited everybody until they had absolutely nothing left. 5 pages later, and then in this BC, guess what they did? And you're like, Jesus Christ! Any way that these motherfuckers could find to find loopholes in things or find a way to exploit people, done. Because if you got exploited and you deserve to be exploited, then if you let that happen to you, like that's the kind of thing, right? Yeah. Winning is all that matters, and when you have that, winning is all that matters. But without a top, people are going to want a top.
It's the top is you can't be king. That's it, right? That's the top, right? And so anytime somebody got close to that or started becoming that or talking in a way that could get the people behind them in a way that could make him a king, like that's what happened to the Gracchi and a lot of Saturninus and a lot of the early kind of Reformation folks, is they just got killed by the Senate because fuck that guy. He's going to be king. I don't like what he's saying. He's going to be king. Just kill him.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. Dude, some dude, like when they were gifted this whole city in this king's will, right? This one guy was just like, hey, since we got all this gold, how about we make the conditions for the poor people better? Yeah, he lost his position. And he ran up murdered too. And look, all of his fucking allies also mysteriously get executed and vanished. And
sometimes not so mysteriously.
Yeah, sometimes it's fucking very blatant.
Thrown in the fucking Tiber,
Yeah, yeah. And then 10 years later, they still hadn't sorted out what the hell do we do with this whole city yet? And then that guy's brother was just like, hey, help the people. No, he's dead too.
Yeah. So Gracchi, the first Gracchi, I don't remember both their names, but the first one, they passed his shit anyway. Even though, they murdered him, the Senate murdered him, and then they were like, we're gonna have a problem if we don't pass this. Let's go ahead and pass it anyway. And his death is for nothing. It's like, fuck you, bro. But then his brother comes along, like you said. They both got chopped up and thrown in the fucking Tiber.
Yeah, dude.
In there with Yoshihashi.
Absolutely crazy. So where I'm up to, I'm about halfway. He's. Excuse me, Mr. Spider-Man. He set up the important players, the big four of the era, if you will. Cicero, Crassus, Pompey, and of course, the man who will rise to the absolute top, Augustus hasn't really appeared yet. He's way later.
Yeah.
It's obviously Julius Caesar, who is going to make like winning seem like the easiest thing in the world.
I love it. Like the story, my favorite parts of the story is Julius Caesar is when he appears out of nowhere within Legion, out of nowhere. Just because his as a military guy, his big thing was speed and precision. So all this, he would sneak up on an enemy and they'd be like, what the fuck? How'd you even get here? Well, he left this big army way back there, but he surprised them with 2 legions, that could go fast. Or, there's parts of the Rome story as far as this goes too, where there's an emergency in Rome, and Caesar has to get there for some kind of vote. I mean, that's what the Rubicon story is about anyway. But as far as he has to get back to the city to save Pompey or to sue this or that or the other thing. And he comes with electric speed that is shocking to everyone. And it's I love those parts of the story because there's always a tension in the story. And then he shows the fuck up and kills some people or steals from the treasury or takes over the city or, shows clemency. The famous clemency of Caesar is also a hilarious part of his story where he'll just defeat one of his enemies and be like, you know what, we're bros. It's fine. You'll be all right. Which is worse than killing them.
So Caesar started that trope in movies and TV I hate, where the lead character has murdered his way to the top. And then the lead bad guy gets to go to prison for all the crimes he's committed.
Yeah,
I'm
Batman.
That is not
he is
cathartic,
Batman.
motherfucker. That is not cathartic at all. And it's also a movie. So don't make it like this. Give me the shooty bang bang. I'm looking at you, Punisher. Kills everyone except for the fucking main villain he's trying to kill. Oh, who's the main villain in season 2? Oh, yeah, the fucking dude you didn't kill in season 1. Well done.
Oh, man. I can't wait to hear... how that book ends. It's been so long. I'll have to get it on audiobook again because I'm assuming it ends, with his assassination or whatever. But at the same time, it's always interesting how they lead up to it. The fucking poetic thing that there's this guy, Clodius. He's one of my favorite Romans. Oh my God. I hope he shows. I'm pretty sure he shows up in that book. He's the guy who showed up at Caesar's house in drag and gets caught at some ceremony, and then he has to go to court for Caesar and his wife, and it's Cicero's involved. It's awesome. It's an awesome story. But that guy, he got killed in some gang violence. All right. And his followers, which was part of kind of Caesar's whole group, they were pissed off. They carried his body into the forum. They fucking set it on fire. All right. And they burned down the Senate house. Okay. So while the Senate's, stuff was going on, they had to find another place to meet that wasn't, the burned down Senate house. So they met in this giant theater that Pompey had built. And that's where it's called the Theater of Pompey. And apparently there's, poetically, you imagine a big statue of Pompey right in the middle of the area. And that's where Caesar's killed. And that's the guy that, finally Pompey got him, because Pompey's story is so tragic and amazing. And the fact that Caesar beat him, but then he ends up dying at his feet of a statue. Oh, it's the best shit ever.
It's like poetry.
Yes, it's because it's like the Bible. It's because it's been retold. We're retelling it after we heard it from some podcast or some book. It's been retold. For thousands of years. So all the kinks have been worked out. You know what I mean? So this story is perfect. It's great. I love it.
It's the comparison, the modern day comparison of going to an actor's first ever convention and hearing their stories, and then going to their 100th convention, and then hearing how they do the same fucking stories. But it's
fast forward 1,000 years of them doing, or 2,000 years of them doing convention, and then
doing all that shit. Records got destroyed and lost along the way, so that all that kind of stuff. So but it's a really good book. And I thought it would be, because there's not much talking and stuff in this kind of book, so it's just big ass paragraphs. But I lose time. If I can lose time reading a book, you've done your job.
He's good at making it entertaining. Adrian Goldsworthy's another guy that makes it really entertaining. His books are good. But check this out. So I've read another of his books called Persian Fire. It's fucking awesome. It's about the Persian Empire. I recommend that one. But I haven't read this one, but the one book that people say they love the most of his is called Pax. and I guess it's like the sequel to Rubicon. Basically, it's about Pax Romana. So I'm sure you'd be interested in that because that's the beginning
Five
of
Good Emperors,
Empire, yeah, and all that shit. So
Nerva to Aurelius, pretty much. Yeah, you know,
I think
like
it starts at Augustus because I mean Pax Romana. I always think of Augustus, but
the mission was such a piece of shit that when he was murdered, I won't tell you how he died.
It's been a long time since I've looked it up, but or read about it. So.
He is killed by a slave, a freeman.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a guy in the show that I know that could do that, maybe. So.
Yeah. So Nerva's put in next, and he's pretty much like a bit of a stopgap because he's in his 60s and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of calm things down and stuff with the Senate and all this kind of stuff. And but he's not well. He's not very popular, but he does something very popular, and that's adopt Trajan, who ends up becoming known as Optimus Princeps, the best emperor.
I mean,
I like Hadrian more, who's the next one, but
those
Trajan,
two are fantastic, right?
Yeah, man, that's like a 1-2 punch, like right there for Rome, and then the most chillest emperor, Antoninus Pius, right? He rules for 20 years. There's almost nothing about him. Go to YouTube. Find a video that's 20 minutes on Antoninus Pius. I dare you. His time is so fucking chill that there's really nothing. Like, it's like the longest period of like stability or something like that in Rome, in the Roman Empire. Doesn't seem to be any major wars, no major civil strife. Motherfuckers just making the Roman Empire
any barbarians, No. It's like, I love those stories, man. But
it's then after he dies and Aurelius takes over that pretty much every single border is just like, you know what, fuck Rome at the same time. And that was pretty much Aurelius's reign. I want to be a man of peace. Wars start everywhere. All right, fuck this.
Yeah, and he was good at the war though, so
dude. Yeah.
That's probably the legions that they're like hyped. You know what I mean? It's like that during his time. I mean, just my guess, but because we talked about Marius a little bit. I don't know if he's talked about it in the book at all, but Marius supposedly changed the army, quite a bit, and they started calling his troops Marius's mules because they brought everything with them. Before that, they had this like caravan of wagons, and of course, they still had provisions that would follow the army. But with Marius's guys, they carried everything with them so they could move quicker. Again, that's something that, Caesar got from him and all that stuff. And that's kind of the beginning of what becomes the actual, Roman legion that you think about, with all that stuff. But man, I'm not as interested in the military stuff as far as like, I like to learn about the battles and what happened. But I love
need a
strategy
video with the diagram. I don't need that.
There's a couple I like with that. Like, I mean, Cannae is obviously like one of the big ones where, fucking Hannibal did the full envelop and just destroyed the entire army and barely any of them got away. Also, Crassus's fate in Persia. Really cool. Really cool to watch. There's I think it's called Invicta. There's a really cool YouTube channel and they do it's very simple blocks that they do for battles, and it's kind of cute. And they have an awesome one on Crassus's fate because he gets fucked up, and it's like something out of a movie. It's unbelievable, man.
Not even a spoiler to say that. Even like you read a book on ancient Rome, you just assume at the end they all got their shit fucked up.
Yeah, they all died in dramatic fashion. That was awesome, and that's except for poor fucking Pompey. Oh, I feel bad for Pompey, man. Rough go. Yeah. He was the man, I mean, they called him the Great, and not sarcastically. And I don't know. Supposedly he used to run around with a cloak that he got from Mithridates, another one of my favorite ancient like history people. The poison.
Oh man, they've mentioned
about Mithridates, the old bugaboo of Rome. He's always attacking them and fucking with them. But Pompey defeated him, and he found some cache of like ancient items in Mithridates' possession, and one of them was supposed to be Alexander's cloak, Alexander the Great. And so, because Mithridates was a family member of Alexander the Great, technically, and so he started wearing it around. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. So they burned down the Senate. That would be the new improved Senate because Sulla tore down the old one because it was too small, and he upped the size of the Senate and stuff like that. Oh man, it's so much interesting
Filled
shit.
it with it. Every time the Senate gets raised in volume, it's by some guy who's a dictator that's like, I'm going to make the Senate bigger because we have more territory, you see, and we need more representation. But really,
it's just because they can't agree on anything.
Well, plus he just gets all his boys
to
just I mean, they're all going to vote for him. He appoints them all, so.
Yep, he sure does.
It's getting into the Senate. It's not an elected position. It's like you have to have a certain amount of wealth and then a certain position in, maybe the cursus honorum. I think you hit the first step, you're granted entry into the Senate as a praetor or whatever it is. So
yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, and
this is the most boring NetherRealm of all time, and probably one of my favorites. So,
dude, yeah, we're just talking about the Roman Republic and stuff. It's been awesome. So yeah, I've been. It's been nice to not read some Doctor Who, and just explore something else for a while.
It's been nice not watching wrestling for a little while. Now,
yeah,
I understand that AEW had a pay-per-view and people loved it and said it was awesome, and so I'm sure that was fantastic and everything. But I've really just enjoyed watching the drama from my phone and not actually watching any wrestling for a little bit. It's so cool. I mean, I've said it before, but it bears repeating. The little breaks that New Japan has. Oh,
yeah.
Man. I mean, imagine it gives us a little relief. What about the wrestlers, man? And poor Chumpy. What about Chumpy?
He's getting the bus serviced right now, isn't he? And getting the tires pumped up.
He's washed it 10 times. Makabe
get the oil
change. Spot.
That's right. Oh my God. Does he take it to a mechanic, or does he think he knows how to do it himself?
Oh, he's makes the alliance
to help him and stuff. Yeah,
he's gonna try.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. No. We'll see. This is, of course, that's how they're gonna do it. This is the same company that'll reuse a table with bumps in it. I fucking love that. By the way, I love that table continuity in my Japanese wrestling.
I can't even put my finger on why that is funny, but it was so funny. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It was
good times.
Absolutely incredible. I've enjoyed the break too. In fact, the AEW pay-per-view has been, and the following Dynamite has been the only wrestling I've put my eyes on since the G1 finished, because I'm just like, I'm not catching up on shows I've missed. I'm not doing any of that. I need a break. So yeah, it's been absolutely lovely. I'm kind of ready though. I'm like,
yeah,
all right.
Well, so something funny happened. I mean, at least I think it's funny, is that I'm like, okay, fucking, Shingo's wrestling birthday. I see when it's on. Here we go. Got my fucking alarm set. I know I'm not getting enough sleep. I don't care. I'm going to get up anyway. I'm going to watch it. I fucking sit down and I'm like, cool, this is going to be awesome. And it's him and Maki, whatever her name is. I'm sorry. I don't know what her name is. The female presenter lady for New Japan. And they're just talking about shit and watching videos. And I'm like, fuck. This is not a show. So I went back to bed. Apparently that actual show is on the 4th or something like that. So we got stuff coming up here real soon next week.
Right. I just find it cool though that Shingo's wrestling anniversary, my favorite wrestler, is he's on my birthday. So
that's great.
That's fucking nice. I was doing family stuff, so I was going to be late for the show, but I kind of reasoned in my head, I'll get home when I get home. I'll just watch it late. Shingo's not going to be on till the end anyway, so that's why we're here. Won't be a note heavy show. It's be fine. And then you messaged me not long after that, going it's just this interview, watching clips, reaction video. I'm like, damn. But now that there is an actual show in early September, that still counts and as a present for me. So I'm going to take.
So that's on the 7th actually. So we got a little time still. So we had to do a NetherRealm just to stopgap it. And we both decided, I don't know, I'm sure we'll break this rule in the future, but right now we're Japan only with New Japan stuff. So Capital Collision. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. I'm sure that we could make all kinds of jokes about the equipment and Matt Vandergriff and whoever else is on the show and the West Coast Wrecking Crew. I did see that.
Wrestling. Oh no, let me guess. They're wrestling Filthy Tom Lawler and Fred Rosser.
Now they do. I did see on the poster they have a tag team name, and I kind of like it. So Fred Rosser and Filthy Tom Lawler are Dirty Work. Okay.
All right. Okay.
I'm into it. Especially if they do dirty jokes from the movie Dirty Work. With Norm.
That's the Norm Macdonald movie.
Yes.
Am I thinking of that one? Yeah.
And Artie Lang for some reason. All of these cars are loaded with hookers. It's tremendous.
Oh my god. So yeah. All right. So Shingo show's probably the first thing up, and then
that's the next thing that we will be covering wrestling wise, unless we do something crazy, which I'm not promising we're going to do. But that is on the 7th at 4 a.m. for me.
Oh, that's
so happy.
See, it's funny, right? Like the All In at Wembley Stadium. All right. So England is the one area of the world that has wrestling on it. That in order for me to wake up, it would have been Mr. Andy waking up for a New Japan show, but not on one of the normal 5 a.m. days. This would have been a 3 a.m. day. So
that's a rough one, dude.
I didn't watch a single fucking second of that shit live. I'm telling you that much. I woke up, it was already finished. I was like, sweet. And then I watched it that way. And
what was the best match on the show?
There's matches I knew would be good that I really, really loved. Like, I don't care that Swerve lost to Bryan Danielson. Like, I wanted him to be champ longer, but I don't care that he lost in that. Like, Swerve's in the main event spot in front of 55,000 people. Kill shot, Lucha Underground. I'm like, fuck, wrestling Bryan Danielson? Dude. That's one of the fucking coolest. Oh, the match was amazing, by the way. Storytelling, everything. But I really love Toni Storm versus Mariah May. I love the story they've been building up, and things like that. Mariah May's betrayal, her winning of the Owen
awesome.
Winners title, and just turning on Toni Storm. The whole story, the storytelling in the match was incredible. Mariah May's mother was in the crowd, and Mariah May goes up to her and say, "Hey, how's it going?" And fucking smacks her own mum in the face.
Oh my god, that's heat,
like, brother. Oh my god, this lady is heel big time. I'm in for this. And the problem with the women's division has been, right, we got the title on a lady who's really over, but no one else has the story or the believability that they might beat this champion, and then that champion kind of gets injured.
Well, but isn't the booking always? Oh, then just someone comes out and challenges.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, there's never, like, at least from my experience watching it and what I hear, is that there is never any like storyline necessarily with the title that's strong. And in this case, the storyline is stronger maybe than the title like story, right? And I loved what I saw at Forbidden Door, I think it was.
Yeah,
that was fucking so good.
I've been really invested in their story. Actually, the women's division has been pretty good, even though I'm finding, like, you don't make Monet talk. Just have her be a complete bitch. And
people didn't like her match, huh? I heard it was botchy or something.
Yeah. Well,
weird.
It was on later on. I don't think, maybe it's also a thing. Like, I don't get the impression that these two ladies like each other.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, dude,
why does that happen to AEW so much? Like, on screen, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't happen on screen. Keep it backstage, you know. But
right. I don't want to know about it. If it's filtered to me, you done fucked up somehow. Like, right?
What was the lady that was like their top women's wrestler, and now she's nowhere to be found?
Thunder Rosa?
Thunder Rosa, and it's all like overheat or something. You could tell when she wrestled, got, other wrestlers, it was like, yikes, why are we sandbagging her? Oh my god, that was a little stiff, like in a bad way. So it's so obvious, isn't it? It's such a fine line, but it's so obvious when something is like, man, that was that was over the line. Or, you know, it's like, I don't know.
But the way they did Mariah May and Toni Storm's story, like, just worked perfectly. In fact, Toni Storm was pretty much a heel in this character when she won the title, and she was so over doing the timeless Toni Storm stuff. Like, turn her face, come on, let's sell more merch, right?
Well, so
and then they had the betrayal,
right?
And then like she's Mariah May, I feel like is the first proper challenge, not first proper. Like Toni Storm's had some good defenses and great matches, but this time I was like, I can see Mariah May winning the belt, and I feel like she probably needs a title, maybe more than Toni does. Toni's over. She's fine. And she managed to have a title reign in the women's division that had a beginning, a middle, and an ending.
Right. Well, the title gives Mariah May like legitimacy that she needs coming in as a new wrestler, right?
And as a big piece of shit heel, and you can add the Stardom wrestler to the mix anytime you want. She was in the crowd watching on as the match unfolded. Yeah, it didn't interfere or anything like that. But there's a seed there. Like she might get involved.
Well, okay. Well, here's my question. So to me, they have a big opportunity right here. They could fuck it up. They could do well. I'm interested, you know, which is not normal for me. So, okay. So why is Toni Storm timeless Toni Storm? It's because of some trauma, right? Like something happened to her and she lost it and she became this weirdo character, right?
Yeah. Well, she lost the title.
Okay. So she's lost the title again in a very traumatic way. Now they have to change her character, but to what? And it has to be as good or better than what they've been doing. You know what I mean? So they have to do that. And I'm interested to see what they do with it because, I mean, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah. How many women or actors, male, female, in Hollywood made a comeback? You know, all that kind of stuff. So many things you could do with it. I love it. I love that I can honestly say there's stories in the women's division that I'm liking consistently. I like that Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander that feud's coming to a head fairly soon as well. So yeah, it's not all amazing, but they're being highlighted more, or the writing's being stronger, or they're doing something with that division that's piquing my interest in a way that maybe not a lot of the other stuff is.
Better than the New Japan strong women's division that like what the fuck? Like their storylines are, hey bitch on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's so bad. But that is main eventing Collision tonight. And it's like one of the awesome Stardom wrestlers versus Mercedes Moné. Hopefully the awesome Stardom wrestler will win the title from her. That'd be cool. I mean, that title in Japan means a lot more, you know, on a Stardom show, I think, than it means at all
on an AEW show. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Gabe Kidd's defending his title versus Lio Rush, and I think that'd be fantastic because we know Lio Rush is like totally willing to just take a ridiculous ass whooping, and so and we know Gabe Kidd's going to bump around like a maniac for him.
Absolutely.
So I think that's probably the one thing on the show I was like,
he's going to do the thing. He's going to do the thing where he's not going down. He's not going down, and Lio Rush is just boom, 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 and then he'll do a massive bump down and get him. And it's like, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be really good. But I've enjoyed this kind of break, and I don't see much mega stuff changing the way I see.
I'm over here trying to talk about wrestling.
Yeah,
on a Never Realm. I'm sorry. I apologize.
How dare you? So I read something pretty strange and awesome yesterday, and it's called Rumpus Room.
Okay.
There it is for the video. It's a graphic novel.
What's Rumpus?
Yeah, this rich billionaire named Bob, he has a rumpus room, and it's really like in his basement. It's a kind of like a small little prison area. He's got a whole bunch of people in there, and they have to vote each day which one gets chosen. And that person who gets chosen gets squished, sit in this chair, and then this Iron Maiden thing presses against them and squishes them, and it makes billionaire Bob's face cream.
Oh my God.
And it's a bit of a satire on how rich people kind of are kind of weird and they don't kind of think like us and stuff, and how rather than do anything about those kinds of people, everyone's just worried about fighting amongst themselves. Like, I don't want to get chosen. Like, oh, we've got a voting block. Oh, you should vote with us, and all this kind of stuff. And like, it's hilarious. There's some really funny moments, but it's also this feeling of, man, that was really funny and kind of bonkers, but also a little too real and stuff like that.
Like Animal Farm or something.
Yeah, like I can imagine Elon Musk being this motherfucker and like or someone like that. And yeah, so one of the people, the whole crux is one of the people who gets sent into the rumpus room is actually an undercover cop, and we go from there, and that's the premise of Rumpus Room.
Okay.
So it's by this publisher, AWA. I've never heard of them. Like, I got a voucher to a comic book store for my birthday, and my rule was I read lots of Batman and Spider-Man. They're my boys. So I was like, no people in costumes punching each other. I just want
to. Okay.
And no series. There's something like done in one volume. So I've read it. I enjoyed the story. If there's more, great. But I just want to feel like I had a beginning, middle, and end. So that's what Rumpus Room ended up being. One of. I haven't read the other two pieces I picked up, but I read it on the train home. I got a 2.5 hour train ride if you go to Melbourne in the country where I live, but like more like 2 hours if you drive. So yeah, Rumpus Room. It was like, I don't talk about stuff I read that often, probably because it's all Doctor Who, and it's just like no one wants to fucking hear about that all the time. God,
well, they can hear about that on the other podcast, right?
Yeah. So I've pimped us many times on that. So I was like, I'm not sure how much crossover there is between the two fandoms, but here we go. So I've put us over on there. I do a Doctor Who book club, the podcast called Hamster with a Blunt Penknife. That's a Tom Baker quote from the Androids of Tara. A hamster with a blunt penknife could do it quicker. And that's a podcast mostly about commentaries, like just people talking about Doctor Who episodes they like or don't like, and just watching them and all that kind of stuff. But they do a book club, and I've been doing that for a little while. And I didn't know when to mention it on here. It's like, is there any overlap? There might be. I guess everyone on here knows that I like Doctor Who. It's been no secret.
I've listened to a few episodes, and you're very eloquent on there, and the like host is like very knowledgeable in a way that's kind of terrifying. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at the same time, he obviously loves this stuff, and it's like it's fun to hear the enthusiasm, even if I don't know what you're talking about.
I found a superpower. Like, I was intimidated too because I'd listened to some of these guys do other podcasts and stuff. I'm like, man, these guys all know their shit. And then I've done a few of these now, so I guess I know some shit, not all my shit. But oh fuck! Oh, I forgot my train of thought. What was I saying?
So you were talking about, that you have found kind of a niche on this. And you feel like you're, doing
all right.
Well.
I didn't know I had this superpower. But apparently we've done a few books that involve time travel, of course, but in the convoluted way, or there might be a story that's a bit, well, convoluted and might be confusing. You ever watched an extra where the actor was like, oh, I don't really like sci-fi all that much, so I didn't really understand what was going on? And I'm like, really? You didn't understand what was going on? Well, this, right? Apparently my superpower is remembering all that kind of stuff in detail from a book and retaining that information and being able to be like, all right, so no, the order is like this and this, and it resulted in these things. And yeah, I didn't really know I had that explaining superpower.
I mean, you explain pro wrestling matches very well on this show, and we kind of, I mean, I know we're all about fun and stuff, but like our match descriptions are pretty detailed. They're a lot more detailed than most podcasts, just because in New Japan, it's about the moves, and the moves tell the story. And if you don't tell people what the moves are, you're not telling them the whole story, right? So, but I think it's interesting, that I don't know. I mean, you think about it, man. How many shows, how many podcasts have you been on? We don't ever, suck each other's dicks for accomplishments around here. But at the same time, something you got to realize is you've been podcasting for many years now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And done quite a bit of it. So it's like, I mean, I've actually recently celebrated my 10th year doing podcast stuff, and that's mind blowing, but it's like, you've done a lot of things and you're accomplished at this. So I'm not surprised that you sound awesome on there.
It's like I found my wrestling niche, and that was really nice. But unlike wrestling, where I've always had like friends that like wrestling,
it's a little more popular,
worldwide. It is. Absolutely. You can't deny that. So Doctor Who's been a bit more of a me thing. So it's been nice to kind of nerd out about my two favorite fandoms. I guess I guess NetherRealm gets me to talk about maybe my third favorite fandom
currently, right?
Sorry, Star Trek.
I like as somebody who's done this for a long time myself, the big part of enjoying a fandom and like what we do is building a little community around it, right? Yeah. And we have a small community around our show. I love everybody that's involved in that and is a part of that. And it's like without that, this wouldn't be fun. And so it's nice if you are off on your own island doing your own thing with your fandom. It's nice to finally be a part of a community and even help build one, which is what podcasting does. So
yeah. So I never thought like I'd be recognized just by wearing my fucking Never shirt to a wrestling gig, and Robbie Eagles is like, "Are you grumpy?" I'm like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is happening?"
You're famous.
Yeah, or how wrestlers listening to this like is the weirdest. Like the Doctor Who book club, like a couple of the writers have listened to them, and
nice.
It's a good thing too that we actually like their books. So,
well,
I have to imagine like, I'm not that egotistical to think like every wrestler's listened to our podcast, but I kind of I don't think I want to meet Tonga Loa. He might beat me up.
Nah, you don't gotta worry about that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he definitely saw that like thing I put on Reddit too, with the whole like where it was him doing the punch and then his dad laughing or whatever from that doohickey. I'm sure he saw that.
Dude's getting paid. He's living a good life. Good on him. Yeah. So
fine. Just blame it on me.
Yeah, I did when Hinare is like, "Hey, you guys have made jokes about me." Hey, that's Mr. Guy. It's like, yeah, he's American. He lives in Ohio.
Go get him.
Yeah,
I'm getting.
I have made Hinare jokes though, but I feel like I've been putting him over for a lot longer. I think.
Okay, so that is a transition, and I just want to talk about wrestling one more time. And I'm sorry, but it's because I am the scapegoat for you with Hinare. What do you think about the scapegoat? Is he's going to be the next challenger for the title versus Brian? Is that right?
Well, he's got a title. It's the TNT title. Guess what he did to it? He spray painted it black.
Oh my god!
Style, and I'm like, fucking
hey,
dude, he's over big time as a heel, big time, and so I'm really enjoying what they're doing. I don't think he's winning the title, even if he didn't already have a title. I don't think I like the story, but. You want to look? Can we? I know Brian wants to go home and be with his family. I understand, but can we have a couple defenses first?
Yeah, he will.
Selfish.
I like the possibility of the scapegoat as a tremendous heel champion in the future for AEW, dude, right? So
absolutely.
I like him a lot, but yeah, man, that's I don't know. That's all I got, I think.
So I haven't read these yet, so. But the first thing I got, I thought it was a safe bet. It's called Houses of the Unholy.
I like the pun.
Yeah. So these two guys, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, if they've got a graphic novel, get it. It's pretty good. They're always pretty good. They do usually crime or noir kind of or pulp inspired stuff. This one's inspired by like 1970s FBI cult kind of things like that. They usually they probably most definitely are inspired by like movies, TV shows, and like real life stuff, but they generally write like an original story and use a whole bunch of elements, but put a good like interesting spin on it. So I haven't read this one yet, but I've never read anything by them that's bad. It's like when you find a writer and an artist, and they're both into the same shit. So he pretty much just Ed Brubaker just pretty much like writes stories for Sean Phillips to draw, and it must be like, yeah. I won't show you artwork inside because there is nudity and things like that, and don't read it on the train.
Yeah,
That's probably another reason I read Rumpus Room instead. That had dark themes and elements to it, and it was quite funny, but there were no boobs.
So, I have a comic book thing I'll tell you about real quick.
Yeah.
You know, I've watched a million movies, of course, since I saw you last. Aaron Brockovich, amazing. Like, I watched that. I couldn't fucking believe it. I saw it when I was younger. It was like, wow. So that was amazing. But I've watched a bunch of shit. But also, just something popped up recently. It was a Watchmen, like, you know, cartoon, whatever, graphic thing, whatever you call that. Man, I know that story really well, you know, because I've read it and I've fucking watched it, and I watched the TV show, and man, the TV show's so awesome. And you have to really be familiar with the story if you're going to enjoy the TV show. So I know the story really well, and they're hitting it beat for beat, but it's really good. Like, it's really good. And there's only part one out so far, and they get up to like maybe halfway through the first from the movie. But I like that story a lot, and I like the like. I don't know. It doesn't shy away from the stuff that the movies shy away from. Like, you know, Rorschach is not a good person. He is a fucking psychopath, and he's a fascist. And like, so they don't shy away from that in this cartoon. They kind of show it a lot more like there'll be squids fall, you know, giant squid at the end.
You know, Rorschach is Alan Moore's, I think, Batman. I know you could say it might be Owlman because he's got like the little owl cave and stuff, but there's shades of Batman in Rorschach as well, for sure. You know, it's
I don't know the comparisons really that well, you know, because there's, you know, I did see Wolverine and Deadpool, and that movie was full of that shit. You know, which I probably got 10% of it, but man, that was awesome. I don't know if I like want to watch it all the time or something like that, but as a movie just to go see, I love that. That was fantastic.
I drive a Honda Odyssey, so I felt some...
Tremendous.
Dude, they're burying it early on in the movie. I'm like, oh, I mean, fair, but then later on they have like an awesome fucking fight scene in it, and I'm like, that's my car, motherfucker.
They did like they got heat on that vehicle, you know what I mean? And then big baby face come back at the end. That's tremendous. Right. That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you about a movie that I watched recently that was amazingly bad. I've seen it before. I hadn't seen it since the movies. I did buy The Cosmic Detective as well.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like a mashup of David Cronenberg and Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby does. You know of his creations. Even if
I know.
You don't know. Yeah, there you go. And it's nice, really beautiful. There's nudity in that one as well. I don't get nude books on purpose. It's just
it's just like in there.
It's like it's in there. Yeah, and it looks absolutely. Look, sometimes you can judge books by their covers because comic books are not always, but they're often the covers are drawn by the people who do the interiors. So, if the cover interests you, the art will probably interest you on there as well. But I watched Deep Blue Sea.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a classic bad movie, right?
It is amazing. It is terrible, but entertaining to watch. I had a fucking awesome time. LL Cool J survives a shark attack by hiding in an oven. The shark then turns on that oven, and the oven still works. So the shark's in the room, so obviously there's water in there, right? How's the oven still working? Doesn't matter. Fucking LL Cool J gets an axe and makes a hole in the ceiling of the fucking oven. I'm like, all right, even though the oven went back off, is there still like stray bits of gas or something in there? I mean,
sure.
If you want me to believe it worked, then you got on there's gas in there. All right, so he axes his way out, jumps over the fucking shark, and then he gets his cigarette lighter Zippo out, which has been in water. And he lights it after a couple goes. He piffs it. He throws it. and it goes where the shark's still investigating because its head's stuck in the oven glass now, and it's like all jagged and it can't get out. So he throws it. It goes into the top of the axe hole that he made. It goes into the fucking oven.
Shot. Wow.
And oh look, the gas explosion happens and the shark explodes. I'm like, but you just used the axe to metal top. The movie's filled with amazingness like that.
That's
and
awesome.
if that sounds good, yeah, dude. Oh, I had an absolute blast watching it. Which, yeah. So,
okay. I might check that out. I watched that. I'm
reading arty comic books, but watching shitty movies.
I think I saw that movie when it first came out, but it was like one of those things where we rented it, and it wasn't like funny at the time. It was like, fuck, you know, I wasted $4 on this piece of shit, and we like turned it off after 20 minutes in or something like that. But so I don't remember it being funny at the time, but. You know, those movies, man, there's so many out there that are just
Thomas
like,
Jane surfs a shark. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and you said he literally jumps the shark. Yeah, that's fucking.
Oh, Cool J did that. Yeah.
I mean,
oh my god. There's one memorable thing in it that's probably been spoiled for everyone now, but a character that you expect to be in the whole way dies halfway through. So I won't spoil that for you. It won't matter, man. Even if I do, this is like one of those movies you describe. And if you thought, as you told me, that oven scene sounded absolutely stupid but awesome, the whole movie is like an hour and 45 minutes of that.
That's awesome.
It's fucking incredible.
You know,
Stellan Skarsgård's in it. Michael Rappaport's in it.
Oh wow, like him. You know, Naked Man. You know, making a triumphant return. You know?
Hey, Michael Rappaport, don't tell the guy who's got the ability to give you a stim pack that he's a piece of shit and you're going to make him in trouble and you're going to kill him, because he's probably just going to. Sorry, Fallout spoilers.
I was just mentioning The Naked Man though, because that was actually one of the first podcasts that you and I did together. We reviewed the No was about starring Michael Rappaport called The Naked Man, and that's available on the Roku podcast feed. That's actually on the Road Home from Wrestling podcast. My bad.
Oh well, you know,
it's still out there. You know,
had we done many of these yet? We haven't.
No, I think that was the first thing we did. You
like
know,
a dry run.
Like period. But it wasn't like that. I mean, there was months in between us doing that and us deciding to do this. So, because we did that movie, we also got me a little bit of heat, some real life heat from some people, because we reviewed a movie that was so bad. I don't even remember what it was called, and there's no point in even.
Was it that cheap Powerbomb movie?
Yeah, there it was. Okay, it was called Powerbomb, and it was like a I don't know. It was a very, very low budget movie about professional wrestling, supposedly. And man, we got sold a fucking bill of goods on that one. And we called them out, and they listened. They weren't happy.
Yeah.
We hurt some people's feelings. So.
I don't know. I can watch something low budget and stuff, but if it's good, like, I don't know, early John Carpenter or something, like, you know, that's what you can do with that. You know, accentuate the positive, but the story sucked. That movie sucked, and I've got no regrets.
The sound was terrible at times. Like, and you got like Matt Cross, you know, from fucking Backyard Wrestling and Lucha Underground, like getting his fingers chopped off and shit by some crazy guy that is the worst actor I've ever seen in my life. And man, wow. Yeah, that is not available out there, by the way, for anyone to listen to, because I took it down because people were really mad. And like, I got blocked on Twitter by a couple people. And like, there was one guy that was involved in funding the movie that got real mad. And so mad that he like unfollowed me on everything. And then when I see him in person, if I walked up to him, he just ignored me. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, okay. You know, but he never said, I'm mad because of this. It's just, I know. So.
No, it's like, I deleted you off my socials, which means you don't exist. Like, you're all right.
That's fun.
Man, that is fucking amazing. I didn't know, but maybe I did and I just forgotten. But look, you know, at the end of the day, fuck those people. Their movie sucked.
I mean, we were just having fun ripping a movie in pieces, you know? And it was really bad. If they can't see that it was bad, I don't know what to tell them. But like, to be mad about it, if you want to talk to me about something like that, I think that's a more mature way of handling it.
Right.
Many times when we did the Road Home from Wrestling podcast, we pissed people the fuck off with our opinions. Many times, right? And the people that would handle it like a mature person would come up to us and say something or message us later and be like, hey man, this isn't right, you know, and here's why. We'd listen, and oftentimes they became very good friends with us. That's how I met a lot of friends, you know, like, in fact, Sean, the referee, we had many conversations like that after shows where he'd be like, I don't really like what you said here, and here's why. And I'd be like, okay, I defend my position, and we talk about it, and we became great friends because of that. And it's like,
fucking, you know, adults
ignoring people, you know, I mean, I know I'm sure I do it too, and I've been guilty of that as well. But it's like, I don't know. I felt like when it's just a stupid podcast, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little rant.
No, that's absolutely fine. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I don't know. I yeah, like when Hanare was just like, hey, you guys make one of me on the show. It wasn't like I'm mad at you guys. It's just like, just mentioned it and had a good chuckle about it, and then he posed with a photo with me and fist bump. Like
he does have me blocked on Twitter still. So, but I think he did that before all that. So I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't like me for a completely other reason.
Yeah, I went too far with a joke. I'm sure.
Maybe he liked Powerbomb. I don't know.
That was the lead into Manshake. You know, Powerbomb was going to be like the big thing that was going to introduce Manshake to the world, and we fucking ruined it. You know, so.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I've kind of, man, I reckon I've hogged this. What about you?
No.
What do you? No.
I'm ready to wrap it up here, man.
Absolutely. All right. Cool. I've pretty much run through my list, so that was awesome. All right. I'm glad you said no, because I was like, did I talk too much? But sometimes we're worried that, like, if we don't have wrestling to talk about, can we fill an hour? And that turns out, yes, we can.
Yeah, we can easily fill an hour just bullshitting. You know what I mean? That's no problem. In fact, I could talk for another 2-3 hours easily. I just, you know, it's been a long day, and you know, we talked about some awesome shit. I can't wait to listen back to the Roman talk stuff. That's going to be fun. I wonder if we sound
going to be really dry for people or kind of interesting. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just something. You can thank Warhammer for this, because I'm watching Warhammer's videos on YouTube. I don't play it, but I like some of the iconography and things are cool. So I watched a few videos on it. I'm like, these Space Marine dudes look like Roman stuff. You know what'd be cool? This stuff is not real. Let's watch some ancient Roman history videos. And I've been addicted to this stuff like ever since. So, and then I think what also helped was bringing that up to you, and you're like, oh, really?
Let's talk,
dude. Let's fucking go. So yeah, no, it's been fun. And all right, where's my thing? The screwdriver. There it is. Unless Mr. Guy has another topic of conversation or anything you'd like to add. That's in I don't know who to trust. Like,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Friendly neighborhood.